That's good. Red. Red nose. Red nose. Nose. That's your nose. That's Rudolph's nose.
When it comes to parenting, the Chinese seem to produce children who display academic excellence, musical mastery, and professional success, or so the stereotype goes.
First thing that comes to mind is always a stereotype. Super strict, their children are a little socially awkward because they're too busy studying or going to music class or going to like Chinese school or something like that. But I think in the end, it's just the way they show love is a little different than we would assume so in a Western society.
In her new memoir, Battle Hymn of the Tiger Mother, Amy Chua writes about trying to raise her children the Chinese way and the bitter clash of cultures she encounters. And while Ms. Chua's book describes her attempt to enforce the strict parenting philosophy of her parents, these new moms, raised by Chinese immigrants, are shying away from those ideals. They give their take on what it was like growing up and how they hope to raise their children.
I'm Liz. This is Ethan. I'm a full-time mom, taking care of this little one, and he's almost 1 year old next week.
I'm Kelly. I'm a physician assistant. This is Nathaniel, and he's 7 months. I think one of the ways that Asian parents love their children is through sacrifice, and that's a very, I don't know if it's very Eastern thinking, but that's the way that, my mom raised me, the way my husband's parents raised him. It was just a lot of sacrificing and working on their part so we could have a better life. But that doesn't necessarily translate into quality time or even spending time with your children.
In the beginning, when I told them that I wanted to stay home, I think they were a little like, what? You're going to give up all that schooling? But I think once I explained to them, why I chose to be a full-time mom, and how I wanted to be there for him, I think they saw that, and they actually, I think, appreciate it, and yeah.
She was actually very, I guess if you want to put it, anti-stereotypical. She was a single mother, and she focused more on our happiness and what we wanted to do versus, making a lot of money and being, quote-unquote successful.
Actually, it's pretty funny. When I was in undergrad, I was thinking of going to nursing, but my parents said no. So then I was like, okay, I'll continue with the business track. That didn't work out, but then so I was like, oh, let's go into communications. And then the only reason why they let me go into communications was because I was like, oh yeah, I'll try to be like the next Kaidi Tong or whatnot. And then they're like totally okay with it because they're like, oh yeah, you'll be famous. Sorry. And yeah, but then look what, and after working in the media industry, for 2 years I decided to go into nursing anyway, and by then I was old enough to make my own decisions. So it turns out that sometimes it's best to go with what you're meant to do. I think for Ethan and for my future kids, like I would like them to not to have that pressure, but to know that they are supported and encouraged in whatever they choose to do. Now that I'm a mom, I definitely appreciate and love my parents. Not that I didn't before, but like 10 times more, seeing all the work that that is required to take care and raise family, and how it can be difficult at times, but yet with their, both Kelly and I, like, even with the financial difficulties that they went through, they still, like, worked so hard and still, like, never complained and did everything they could, just because they loved us. And I think that's something I've learned, and I'm very thankful for my parents. Even more grateful, I think, now. I am now, yeah.
Being in her shoes now, I can sort of see, I sort of feel myself the need to want to sacrifice and work really hard to make a lot of money so he can go to a good school, a good college, and things like that. But I don't want to forget to spend time with him and have a good relationship with him as well.
Go, go. Go, go. Meow, meow. Meow, meow.
You know, we joke about, you know, him getting the 100 and not the 99. But I would be perfectly fine if he was an 85 or a B student. But Mike's like, no, it's got to be the A student. But I think he does that, you know. I don't think he's serious about that. Not 100% serious about that.
For the Wall Street Journal, I'm Christina Sui.